terms of like Portland, Westbrook, the greater metropolitan area, it's a beautiful community. The community has really created what Maine is today, from working jobs to just the culture, diversifying Portland. And a lot of that isn't acknowledged, but I think we acknowledge it within the community. And I mean, I love the people I grew up with, people I went to high school with, always motivating me to do better, and consistently being my inspiration.
As you meet people and you meet the communities and stuff like that, you grow to like understand who you are, your identity, and then fight for your identity for a lot of racial causes, like justice causes and stuff like that. So knowing who you are has been my biggest struggle, but as time went by, and I'm getting old now, so I've learned to like myself and understand who I am and why I'm doing this.
I think when you come here as an immigrant and refugee, you deal with, again, a lot of culture shock and imposter syndrome and navigating these systems where they're created for us, but they don't accommodate us because we weren't involved in the process of making them.
Whatever I do, because I have not chosen my exact profession yet, but whatever profession I get, the only concern I have in my mind is I'm not just doing it for myself, because it's the community that brought me up, my family, my friends. Because if I just do it for myself and then just move out the hood, for example, and then just go, that's just me being selfish. So I have to acknowledge that I did not do this alone. I did this with the people and the community behind me.
We didn't have like a big Nepalese community here, so I feel really happy to represent the culture. Over the past few years, I've seen like the community growing, and then whenever I can, I get to help the people who move from like other parts of the US, like especially Nepalese people or people who move from Nepal. It feels really awesome, to be a part of that. I'm the first college graduate in my family, so I guess that counts as something. And personally, I feel like education is like one of those tools which could be really useful to tackle those kind of social problems. And if we work hard on the field, personally for me, I'm in biological sciences field, so I could be working more with like public health crisis. And I am certain there are people who are working on the other social problems like housing or homelessness. I don't feel like I'm in any kind of position to give anybody advice, but from my personal experience, what I would say is like keep working on whatever you are interested. Just keep working on, and one day it'll be worth it.
My religion is my community, and it felt like I'd never left Iran because I have my community here. Me and my friends, I always reach out to them to go for a nature walk, which leads to deeper and meaningful conversation, and we build stronger relationship together. So then nature definitely helps to build a stronger community. I like technology and data, so it helps. I can find a way to help my community by data, and I work at Office of Maine Refugee Services, and I'm a database engineer there, and in a way, pulling the data and reporting it to the government helps our helps our population to grow in Maine. We all have a sense of understanding that we are all humans, that we all came from the same dust, and we all living on this earth together, so we should take care of each other and the planet, that we can have a better future for our children and humanity.
I'm doing a few things right now. I'm doing a mentoring program with Gateway. I work as a mentor. When I started that, I think a few months ago. I also work with the Afghan community, so I help Afghans who are struggling in this society and in this country. The other thing that I'm hoping to do is work as a community health worker. I'll be doing that soon as well. I'll be visiting Afghan families, and I'll be doing home visits and working on a research project with them. The advice that I would have for the kids, the new Afghan kids that have arrived, is to always stay committed and motivated in what you hope to succeed in the future.
I was a kind of shy, I kind of like reserved. I didn't do too much stuff until my junior year at high school, when I had a conversation with my guidance counselor, and she kind of encouraged me to like join a club, a sport, which I did, join cross country, and that kind of helped me kind of integrate myself to like something to do outside of school, and running was that thing. And I kind of started loving it. Then I went to college and also ran in college. I went to USM. My dream is to work at a college as an athletic trainer. I would love to work in Maine, some college in Maine. I see a lot of diversity, a lot of community with diverse ideas just coming together and working to excel Maine to a higher position.
For a long time, especially when I was like in high school and middle school, finding anybody that could like help me with like college or just getting where I wanted to be. For the longest time, I didn't know what I wanted to do because I didn't see a lot of people of color, or people who look like me in different places of power or different places that I found like interesting. So gradually I had to kind of put myself at those tables and find resources for myself. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I like being helpful or like being involved in the community, because I don't want my siblings or kids like that are younger than me have to go through that struggle that I did. I'm still an introvert, and I kind of had to push myself out of my comfort zone, but gradually at USM, learning so many things about being a leader and just meeting other students who were student leaders and having them push me past my boundaries was very important.
I am a local Mainer. I grew up in Brunswick, and so I have lived in Maine my entire life. I mean, my struggle is just the fact that we have so little diversity here, and I think it's way more than we had when I was younger. I was the only Black student in school until like 5th grade, I think, and then there were only 2 of us. And that was really challenging, I think, just feeling like, you know, there were others around that looked like me. That just wasn't the case. So I stuck out a lot, and people were, of course, always wondering like where I came from, and, you know, saying things that were really hard to hear. And I had to have a lot of conversations, I think, at a younger age about race in a way that I wasn't prepared for, because I was just a kid. My whole goal is I need to pave a way for others to come after me and have it easier than I did. And I think a lot of that exists within being on city council. I'm the second Black woman that's ever been on the Portland City Council, and that is really important, and it's a really heavy thing to carry, but I realized that I'm blazing a trail that didn't exist before, and I have a responsibility to make more room for Black women to come after me and diverse perspectives to come after me. And so I think in all of my spaces that I occupy, just existing in those spaces as the first and being a Black woman that's an activist and speaks out about racial equity, it's really important, because I hope that by doing that, we can have younger Black women that can thrive and don't have to have those conversations if they don't want to.
I'm Ukrainian, so born and raised. My first time coming to the US was when I was 15. I won a like foreign exchange student leadership exchange program scholarships. So that was my first kind of introduction to the US, and I went to Michigan for a year, and then I went back, finished university there in Ukraine, and then I got back here, this time to Maine because of the job opportunity I had here. Well, I'm very hopeful that Maine is going to continue growing, continue diversifying. I remember when I first got here in 2007, in February 2007, it was a big winter snowstorm and everything was closed. Like every single place was closed, and I was stuck in the hotel for a week, and there was nobody on the streets or anything. So that was kind of like my first welcome to Maine. And I was a little bit nervous, but then, you know, as I was going to work, making new friends, learning, like seeing actually the nature too, like I realized how beautiful a place it is. And so now, 15 years later, it's a completely different environment. Obviously, a lot of people have come here and have seen what I have seen, and they love it as well. And, you know, moving here, and I'm very excited about it. So if you ask me 15 years ago what I would envision Maine to be like, it would definitely be a different answer than today. I see it as a potentially maybe some sort of a tech or educational hub in the future. I have a kid that's growing up here. I'm very excited for his future here. If I had him 15 years ago, I would probably envision him going to college elsewhere, but now I would be excited for him to be here.
I'm big on the geography of Maine. I love the four seasons, and unpopular opinion is that I don't mind the winter. I really like that, you know, there is great public schools open for anyone, for any child to have an opportunity to a great education, because I believe that, you know, education has impacted me in such a positive way. It kept me open to learning and growing, but also understanding the importance of helping one another, because, you know, there are so many people on this earth, and there are so many people in this community alone that, you know, have different stories and perspectives, and education has taught me the value of that, and how extraordinary these perspectives can be for your own learning, but, you know, growing as a community, because we're all human at the end of the day, and it's best that we help our community and we help one another grow, not just ourselves.
Being a first-generation college student, it can be a lot, whereby you try to get the support from your parents, whereby they have 3 jobs, 2 jobs, and still find a way to still support the family. I was able to, you know, get a master's degree, a bachelor degree, because that was the dream and prayers from, you know, my parents to, you know, if they can't accomplish this, they want their children to be able to accomplish what they were unable to accomplish. And I'm one of many that have accomplished something great in America. I'm one of many that have benefited from the American dream. There are still more that are going to accomplish this. I believe the government, the local councilor, the Senate, or whoever is in position, I believe, and I strongly believe, you guys have the power to do what's right for, you know, for the community. It will be awesome to please let's support and help out your fellow human being, please.
So my family and I, so we had to leave Russia, and not having a particular detailed plan in place, we moved to the US in general, and accidentally we found ourselves in Maine. I'm currently HR director with one of Maine's nonprofits, and I've been in HR back in Russia, so generally, I mean, the total experience is about 15 years now in HR, and again, thankfully I was able to continue building my career here in Maine. Finding the community that would understand what we were going through was relatively easy. I wasn't looking for, let's say, Russian-speaking community, and also due to the fact that my own family is kind of international. Like my husband is from Congo DRC, so he has his community here. However, again, both of us are really open, so we're not looking and have never been looking for any particular community in regards to the country of origin. So I need to be honest, this is probably the first time I've ever felt that feel of shame for my country, and that was the first time when I started pausing, while answering the question, where are you from? That really never happened before, and that's a very hard experience for myself, and I know for a lot of community members.
We moved here from the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2014, and ever since being here we've just been welcomed by the community and just everyone, and it's just been a great place to live. A lot of my friends, myself and my family, like my siblings, we used to go to the Boys and Girls Club, and there were a lot of immigrants just like us from Congo, from South Africa, from Angola, and Sudanese people as well. So it was just really an interesting mix and pot, and so just seeing all these different people made us feel more welcome in terms of look at all these other people that are just like us. And when we were at the Boys and Girls Club and even at the shelter, we used to get invited to many of these different Maine families that just wanted to know who we are. At church, at the cathedral here, church community over there is great, and a lot of the members like knowing and meeting new people, and so those were really some of the ways we got integrated and some of the ways people showed their kindness towards us as well. So I'm studying computer science, which is also called software engineering in the real world. I'm hoping to be a software engineer as well myself, and I'm hoping to also start my business maybe. I know opportunities are rising and will come. I want to stay close to my family and the people that I know and the community of Portland, Maine, because it's so diverse, and it's also a great place to just live overall. And my advice would definitely be open to meeting new people, and especially Mainers. I know a lot of us in our own communities, even when we get here, we like to stay closed off. A lot of times we only hang out with our people, or you Congolese, or you Rwandese, or you from Angola and whatnot, our people. But I think it's definitely a beautiful thing when you start to experience the different groups of culture and learn the way that they do life and how they're traversing this earth.
I am a sophomore at USM, and I'm a political science and international relations major. I think one thing that gives me hope in Portland is just how many movements and opportunities that are being created to help with the housing crisis and ensuring that people aren't being evicted from their homes, as we have all these new apartments and complexes and just properties being pushed into Portland. So I think I'm optimistic in the fact that we're not just a community that's going to let people slip through the cracks, and that we're not going to push them out of Portland. And I think groups like Catholic Charities, but also other smaller organizations in Portland do give me that optimism. I think my biggest advice is to just be able to take a step back even when things are heated, even when things seem impossible, even when differences just seem too big to overcome. I think just being able to take a step back and recognize the fact that we're all humans and that we're all coexisting in the same space is probably my biggest advice. And then from there is just recognizing and honoring your values as a human. I think my biggest struggle was just being able to come to terms with the things that I care about and the things that are important to me. But once you take that step and accept that there are issues in this world that you really deeply and truly care about, it becomes way easier to work with other people from there.